everyone ready?
Well, we're now streaming live. Good morning.
Good morning, Limitless CEO community. Oh my God, so excited.
Oh, I've got butterflies in my tummy for this one. I'm so excited. And talking about butterflies are often just the same as excitement as nerves. So I'm going to choose it. This is just excitement because we are so excited for what we've got to share with you today. But I know we've also had quite a few new gorgeous women in our group. So we probably should do a little bit of an intro before we dive right in. This is obviously the usual spot for the Limitless brunch here in the Limitless CEO community. But today we're coming in with a really, really special workshop all about something that I resisted for a really long time about sellings, but we're going to talk about that in a bit. I am Ali Mortimer. I am one of the co-founders of the Limitless CEO. I am the mind master, the energetics coach. I come in to help you with your energy about what you're doing. And Em is...
Hi, everyone. For those of you that are new to our world, I'm Em, and I'm obviously the other half of the Limitless CEO together with Ali. And my role in our coaching duo is to bring the strategy, the structure, the systems. I'm an online business growth specialist and visionary brand creator. So I'm the one that comes in and helps you with the vision for your business and then creates a strategy and an achievable and simple step-by-step path to get you there. And together, that's what we do, bringing both of those together in a really beautiful, soulful way. So welcome to our world if you are new.
Hello, I can see
you. Live.
Hello. How are you? Oh, we've got comments. Sorry, I'm meant to be checking comments today. Hi Victoria. Hi gorgeous. How are you? Lovely to see you. I always find it really weird when I introduce myself first, because I often like to go after you, Em, because you talk about walking that visionary path, and I'm like, yes, and then I come in and help you walk that path and get rid of all of the shit that's going on in your head and in your mind. It felt really odd for me to introduce myself first.
Did that throw you a little bit this morning?
I was like, oh, I don't know what I'm saying. That doesn't really ring true in going first. But yeah, together, I suppose, and actually we're in our yin and yang colours today, which was not planned at all. Is very much all around the masculine energy. For those of you who have started your kind of understanding of energetics, the masculine energy is very much kind of like the planning, the holding, the container, the structure, the strategy, the things that you do. And I'm very much more around the flow, the fluidity, the feminine side, which is bringing in your creativity, which is the thoughts, the feelings that you have. It's who you're being and the energy with which you bring to the things that you do. And if for those of you who may or may not know our background, Em was actually my coach. So I had my own health coaching business, happiness coaching business, and I came to Em because I wanted a strategy to actually grow my business and to make some money, which we're going to come on to in a bit. But this is why I came to Em, and she gave me that structure. She gave me that path. She gave me that vision to walk towards. And because I was a mindset coach, a mindfulness coach, I could get out of my own way. So together, we help other people do that same thing, walk the path, but get out of your own way. And that's why we bring that beautiful dance of the masculine and the feminine together. But that is a whole different ball game, and I think we're going to be coming on to talk about that in another session. And what I really want to do, Em, is bring us back to exactly why we're here and talk very much about selling, because ultimately that's what we're talking about. And we've kind of been leading up to this point. So for those of you again who've been in the Limitless CEO for a while, we started off this year talking very much about branding, curating your brand. When you're in business online, you need to really know who you are, what you stand for, where you're going. And that's Em's real
magic.
You talk about that piece. Let's just start really briefly there, and then we can take people on the journey of where we are.
Sorry, what did you want me to?
I was just, well, actually, don't worry. Shall I just carry on? I'll carry on.
No, you on a roll there.
No. Sorry, I was trying to say, oh, look at everybody watching. I was trying to do too many things at once.
Oh, sorry.
But so I was saying, we started off this year as really talking about brand, beautiful brand, creating your beautiful brand for a business. And then what I love about that whole piece is that you then take, when you're very, very clear, or what Em taught me how to do is get very clear on who you are and your brand. And then when you want to sell online, you can then bring that onto your social media platform, whatever social media platform you're in. You take the concepts that you learn from your branding piece, and then you put them out online so that people can start to buy into you, buy into your story, buy into your values, buy into the transformation that you're going on. And they're really seeing you and what you're doing. And then this is the next kind of piece of the puzzle of everybody who's been following us through. You've got your brand, you know how you can use social media. And this is where I think a lot of people get stuck. For the people who we've seen in our world, who've come through the Well Balanced Business Program, for the people who've worked with us privately, they love the branding piece. They love getting involved in social media once they get through some of their hurdles. But the next piece is often the bit where we often fall off the wagon, because it's the word that most people hate. It's that sales piece.
Yeah.
But what I'd love to help you reframe is this understanding. It actually came through to me yesterday when we were talking with a private client. It was like that whole buying into you. You've got that. They bought into your brand. They bought into you. They bought into your social media. But now the kicker is they've got to buy from you. When they buy into you, they buy from you. But how do you do that? And that's the biggest thing that I came to Em to work on is, how do I get people to buy? I'm not a salesperson.
Yeah, and that's where I started my sales journey as well, is this idea that I almost had this identity that I wasn't a salesperson, because I'm a marketeer. I'm a strategist at heart. You know, that's been my entire life's work. I've been in the industry for 17 years. I used to run a marketing agency, and then I consulted as a business strategist for some of the biggest multi-million-pound global brands. And coming into then my own business in the online space, my belief was that I wasn't a salesperson and I was no good at sales. Like, that was the kind of narrative that I told myself. And I did a lot of coaching myself with other coaches that had been in the industry for a long time. And the way in which the industry was set up to sell was very different to our experience that we have now and that we're going to teach you today, because it was all around this concept of sales calls and sales scripts. And I talked about this briefly on Instagram this morning. And it was this whole system, basically. It was this like system that everybody had. Every coach in the industry had this system where you would invite people to book a breakthrough call, or what do they call it? A strategy call, a discovery call, whatever you want to call it. It was this system that was set up to get somebody on a call, and then you'd probe them. And I say probing, and that sounds painful. That sounds like something I never want to have happen to me, but it was fucking painful, because it was this script that was like, where are your challenges? Like, what's it costing you to stay stuck where you are? Like, where do you see yourself 3 months from now? It was so like, it felt so manipulative and really out of integrity for me. And I hated it. And I would have these really lovely conversations with people. And then it would be like, okay, now it's time to sell. And I'd get like all awkward and fidgety and just be like, blah, 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 like talk really, really quickly, like I'm probably doing now. But it was a very uncomfortable situation for me, because I wasn't a salesperson. And I think that put me off even more, if I'm honest. Coming into sales was thinking that it had to be a certain way, that it had to be pressurized, it had to be, you know, this whole sales system that the coaching industry had seemingly signed up to. And actually, we've completely thrown that rule book out of the window in our business. We don't do sales calls, strategy calls. We don't do any kind of calls. If somebody wants to get on a phone call with us and discuss options and their business, we are open to that. But we certainly don't push that in any kind of way. And we don't take credit card payments on the phone. And we don't use sales scripts. It's just not how it feels good for us. And yet, we've managed to sell multiple six figures in coaching services over the last 12 months by doing it in our way. And this is what we want to teach you today.
Yeah, I'm just looking at, got loads of lovely people watching. So
hey, who's on?
Hello, and a shout out to everybody who's here. We've got Kathy. Hello, gorgeous Kathy Thomas. So Kathy was instrumental in my healing process. She is an amazing, amazing lady. Go and watch her. She's a hypnotherapist. She's also a personal trainer. She's just,
you told me about Kathy.
Everything gorgeous. Yeah. So she's there. Victoria, one of our gorgeous private clients and graduates of the Well Balanced Business, is here. Kate, private client, is here. We've got Loratu, another gorgeous private client, here. So many gorgeous people. Louise Robbie's here. Hello.
Hi, Louise. I studied nutrition with Louise many years ago. I'm so excited you're here. That's amazing.
So, ladies, if anything that Em has just said resonates with you around that whole kind of like cold calling, cold pitching, discovery calls, that's not the way in which you have to sell at all. And we want to help you understand that there are so many different ways in which you can do this. And this is what we love to help women do. We love to help women create a business that they love, including selling. Now, when I first started working with them, I didn't like it. That definitely resonated with me. Don't like selling, but now I love to share what we have on offer for you to buy. So I think just going back to what we were saying, is like you go through this path and you can get to a point where, am I going to stay where I am? And this whole title of this workshop is called Sell to Stay in the Game. So I came to Em, and it was on the back of a conversation my husband had said to me, which was, you've got a very expensive hobby, Ali. When are you going to make some money? Otherwise, you've got to go back and have a job, go back to your previous job. And for me, that was just not an option. I did not want to go back to my corporate job. I did not want to go traveling around the world, working all hours. I did not want to miss out on my children's youth. My health was bad. So it was like, right, okay, I've got to learn how to generate an income in my business. It's more than just social media. It's more than just coaching. I've got to learn how to master this art of selling my products and services. So Em then said to me, okay, well, that was when I phoned Em and I said, I need help. I wasn't making any money, but I knew I needed help. So it was like, I need to invest in someone to teach me how to do this so that I can stay in the game. So I rang Em and said, right, I need your help. How do I stay in the game? And she said, well, what's your bare minimum number? How much do you need in order to stay in the game? So we started from that point, and it was at that absolute crucial point where I realized I needed to choose my pain. There's the pain of going back to my old job, and the pain of not seeing my kids, the pain of being sick on a cycle, the pain of having to go into work for somebody else that I didn't enjoy, or the pain of learning how to sell.
Yeah. Choose your hard, I guess, is what we're saying, isn't it? Because yes, selling can be hard in the beginning because it's a new skill. And with any new skill, there's going to be a learning process that may feel hard to start with. But as Ali's saying, it's like, choose your hard, because the hard conversations that you're going to have with your spouse over, you know, when are you going to start making money? How long are you going to do this for? What is plan B? That feels harder than the hard of having to learn the skills. To me, it did. And to Ali, it did as well. And, you know, Ali, you picked your hard and you went from your bare minimum in your business. And I think this is worth mentioning as well, because yes, I know that sometimes there's a narrative, well, it's easier for you two are selling business. Ali wasn't selling business. She was selling health and happiness. And we scaled her sales to £30,000 a month consistently using this. So it doesn't matter what you're selling. You just need to sell. You need to learn how to sell.
You just need to learn. It's just another skill, like riding a bike, learning a shoelace, tying a shoelace. It's hard to start and it becomes easier, and you can make it fun. So I suppose the question is, ladies, are you ready to learn how to sell to stay in the game that you love? Choose your hard. Which hard are you going to be? And we're going to show you a way that isn't hard at all. It's just fun. The hardest bit is ripping the bandage off. So today what we're coming in to do is talk to you about some of the concepts of selling. And I hope you've got your pads and pens, because there's going to be some, like, it is a workshop. We're going to be asking you some stuff. This is going to be staying in here in this group, so you can come back and take your time. You can pause, you can redo this as many times as you like. But on the back of this, we're probably going to be talking for about an hour. On the back of that, we're going to give you an absolute no-brainer offer for those of you who are ready to go further and dive deeper into learning how to sell. If you're ready to learn to sell, if you're ready to grow your business, if you're ready to go and grow income, then there's a no-brainer offer that we're going to offer you at the end of this, because we can't teach you everything to do with selling in an hour. But what we can do is we can offer you some concepts that if you feel that, yes, that's where I need to learn more, then you can jump on in and learn more with us. So are you ready? Are you ready to rip that bandage off? Is your book ready? Is your pen ready? Because all I want to say is that the stuff that we're going to be teaching you or sharing with you today And what we're going to be teaching with you next week, if those of you who want to come in, is what took me to that scaled kind of like business. So from going from my no-brainer number all the way to that number that I'd said to Emma, I was like, that's just not possible, to that completely impossible number that's just kept coming. So that's what we're going to be sharing with you today. Are you ready? Are you ready?
What are we seeing in the comments? Can we please have some yeses or some shows of hands or something? Let us know that you're still with us.
Let us know. No one's answering at the moment. I know there's a bit of a delay. We've got some bubbles coming up. So yes.
Great. We're ready. We're in the right room with the right audience. They're ready to learn how to sell.
Let's go, says Kate. Yeah, let's go. I'm really hot.
You look like you're sitting right in the sun though, so that's probably why. Or maybe that's just your natural glow.
I'm just going. Victoria's ready, Carly's ready, Catherine's ready, Kathy's ready. Yes, we are ready.
All right. Okay, so ladies, we are going to teach you some concepts, but what I also want to just start with is offering you a little bit of context. So we've got concepts and we've got context around sales as well, which I think is really important to understand, like what selling is and what it isn't, and just try and offer you some reframe in the way that you're thinking about sales so that you can start to feel good about it and excited about the prospect of this being a skill that you're just going to learn and practice and get really, really good at. And I think if we think about, okay, what is the actual dictionary definition of selling? And I looked this up for us, and it actually says that.
Of course you did. Of course you did. Of course you did.
Hey, don't be taking the mickey out of me.
I won't do that too much.
Huh?
I won't do it too much, I promise.
Yeah, right. It's fine. I'm a big girl. I can handle it. Okay, so selling, according to English Dictionary, is a transaction and an exchange between two or more parties in which the buyer receives a tangible or an intangible good or service in exchange for money. That's it. That's the actual official meaning of selling, which doesn't seem too scary, does it? It's not as scary as maybe we make it out to be. And the thing is, like, let's think about this in terms of like our life as well. We buy all the time. In fact, my husband reminds me frequently how much I like to buy and spend money. And it feels really effortless to us to buy. It feels good. Like it, you know, you've heard the term retail therapy. Like it feels good to buy things that we desire. So it's interesting to me that on one side of this exchange and transaction, we feel like Julia Bloody Roberts in Pretty Woman, you know, with all her bags and, you know, her people trailing after her. Like, yes, I've just bought myself something. And yet on the other side of the transaction, we struggle. And, you know, Ali and I were talking about this when we were thinking about the context around this. And I bet you can't go a day without buying something. And yet we see women in business go for months and months without selling a thing, without making an offer to anybody for a service. And the fundamental truth about being a woman in business is that we are amazing at giving. We are nurturers. We love to give, but we really struggle to receive. And what we want to just start by talking you through is what we call the resistance to receive archetypes. Okay. And the reason why this is important at the beginning of this conversation is that if you're struggling to receive in any way, that's going to impact on your ability to ask for money, to sell your services, and to receive money and get paid for what you do. And the two things are really closely linked. And we want you to understand where your resistance might be coming from that could be holding you back, because we need to release this, and then we can move forwards. Hopefully, are we all still following? just want to take a pause there.
Is everybody following? Just before you go into the archetypes, I just, hearing you say that, I just want everybody to almost just think and imagine. I know when I go meet my best friend, it's like, let's go shopping. And we're like, let's go shopping. We'll go to like Vista Village, or we used to meet on Oxford Street. And the two of us would go round and we'd go into, you know, big top shop, and we'd go into all these amazing places on Oxford Street and Regent Street, and we would buy with no agenda. We would just buy because we love the experience of buying.
Yeah.
So if you resonate with that, and if you understand that you love to buy, can you put yourself on the other side of that? And just how would it feel to know that when you came on to offer up your services, that there was an army of women or men or people ready, who were in that frame of mind? I'm ready to buy. I can't wait to go buying. I can't wait to go shopping. So could you, knowing that there are people on the other side waiting and willing to hear and ready to buy, does that make it feel easier for you to come in and know, whatever I put out there, there is going to be somebody who's just said, I'm ready to buy from her. Whatever she's got, I'm ready to buy from her. So I wanted you to think of that in your mind, really feel it in your body. I'm coming on to sell, I'm coming on to share something, and I know that there's already an audience that's really willing and waiting to buy. It's like Beyonce coming in to sell her tickets for her concert. She knows that there are going to be people ready and waiting to buy. And you've got to bring that feeling, I'm fucking Beyonce and I'm just coming out to sell, and I know that there's an audience ready for me to buy. So if you can get into that feeling, it makes it so much easier to just, I can share what I've got, and I don't care about who's going to buy or not. I just know that they will. And I want you to also, when you were talking then again, going back to this whole yin and yang thing that we've got going on in here, black and white, yin and yang, masculine, feminine, buying and selling. There are buyers and there are sellers. There are always the opposite side. And then as we move into this next piece, which is all about giving, you've got to allow the flow to receive. If you're constantly giving, this is when you're spent, when you're exhausted. You've got to allow yourself to receive. And as Em's already really pointed out, sometimes as women, we really struggle with that. So one of the things that you can start really doing is understand where you're blocking the receiving, and start to recognize, I'm receiving. You're all receiving information right now. Be open to receiving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because interestingly, how we receive can impact in many different ways in our life. And when I'm reading through some of these, you might actually resonate with them in your relationship, for instance, because the way in which we receive as women is directly correlated in many areas of our life, from our relationships to our friendships to our business to receiving money in service of our work. So I'm going to dive into the, well, I'm going to touch on these. I could probably do an entire session just talking about these, but we really want to introduce you to them. And just for you to have a think about whether any of these resonate with you on any level. Please do let us know in the comments as I'm going through, if you can identify with having ever felt any of these in yourself. So the first type of receiver that we have identified through the work that we do is what we call like the undeserving receiver. So this is the woman that doesn't actually feel worthy of receiving, doesn't feel worthy of being paid because she doesn't feel like she's good enough, or doesn't know enough, or isn't qualified enough, and maybe just doesn't value herself, or she values herself at a level that she feels like, well, no one's going to pay me that much because I'm not worth that much. And what's happening here is almost like this tangling up of your own self-worth with the value of your service or product. And the two things are completely different. Your value and your worth is fucking priceless. It has nothing to do with the value of your services or your products or what people will pay you for your work. So I just wanted to say that here. So this is the undeserving receiver. Okay.
I used to be one of those.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be one of those.
Yeah.
I also used to be one of the next ones as well. So you can be many of them.
You can definitely be many of them. So I hope that I'm pronouncing this correctly. I think, Ali, you corrected me during the week.
Vicarius.
Vicarius. It was Vicarius, yeah. I think I said Vicarius, but Vicarius, the vicarious receiver So this is the woman who is subconsciously on some level actually blocking receiving herself, because actually she's reliant on somebody else. And we see this with money in particular, where perhaps maybe you've got a spouse or a partner or a parent or somebody else that actually has been offering a level of security and financial support, and therefore you don't need perhaps the money, so there's no need there. And in some kind of way, you're almost blocking money coming to you because you become very good at receiving through somebody else. And the thing is with money is it will always take the path of least resistance. So if you've got a husband that's very good at attracting money, that's very good at manifesting on all sorts of levels, there may subconsciously be a blockage on your part because you always feel supported by the receiving through somebody else and not directly.
So what does this actually look like? So if I can say that I was a vicarious receiver, I was blocking money coming into my business because I thought, well, I don't need it because my husband, my family, our other businesses generate enough wealth, so I don't need to do it through this way. So in some ways I was subconsciously blocking receiving through this path.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
So let us know, ladies, if you feel there may be a little bit of that going on, and there's no shame in that. Absolutely, none of this is about shaming. This is about awareness of where your blockages might be.
Yeah.
So the next one is what we call the obligated receiver. So this
as well.
I think there's pieces of all of us in all of these sometimes. So the obligated receiver is the woman that worries about the debt of receiving. And what I mean by that is that she feels as though when somebody pays her for something, that somehow she's now got this huge responsibility on her shoulders to deliver because somebody's paid her for her work. And what that usually translates as is overgiving. So it's like, I've received the money, but now I feel like I have to overgive and do more and more and more because that person has paid me. And it feels like you're in debt.
Yeah, an obligation. It feels like a huge obligation. Someone's paid me, so now I have to give way more. Now that there's a book I love called The Go-Giver, and I always talk about giving more in value than you take in money. But there's a point at which that becomes too far and you feel I've got to keep giving, but actually not receiving any return in value, which means that you then become depleted. You go into the red, basically.
And resentful as well. This is where resentment comes in, when you actually feel as though you're not getting back in return the effort and the energy that you put in. And that leads to resentment and it leads to burnout. And I think we can all have appreciated that at some point. So the next one I want to talk about is the accepted receiver. So this is the woman who just wants to be loved, just wants to be liked and accepted. And I think that's probably all of us on some level. We all want to be loved, don't we? We do. Like, please send us some hearts in the comments because we want to be loved. But it's this whole thing of like, what are people going to think of me if I ask them for money? Like, are they going to feel ill towards me because I've got some knowledge and information that can help them with a struggle? And are they going to judge me because I'm asking them for money for that information? Does that make me greedy? Does that make me a bad human being? Am I a gold digger? This was one I struggled with a lot. When you love something so much and you've got all of this knowledge and passion, this idea of charging somebody for that felt very alien to me. It's like, I can't charge somebody for sharing my knowledge that I'm really passionate about, that I love. How can I expect people to pay me for that?
I imagine lots of people feel this one. This was a huge part also for me. How can I charge for doing something that I love, where I've always had money before doing something that I didn't really enjoy doing or perhaps even hated? So how can I generate money doing something that I love? I think also when we're in the wellness space, how can I also charge people or receive money for them to get better? I think because we're so passionate about what we do and want to help people, that we feel guilty about asking people for money. I think this is such a huge piece for so many people in this space.
Yeah, let us know if you resonate.
We're getting lots of hearts and yeses. Definitely me. Yeah, I'm a people pleaser. Yes.
Yes, this is the people pleaser. This was me. This was the people pleaser. And I think also Ali and I can both resonate with this next one on a deep level as well, which is what we call the contented receiver. So this is the woman that actually worries about receiving more on top of so much already. This is, how can I ask for more? How can I desire more when I already have this incredible, beautiful life? I'm so fortunate. I'm so lucky. I'm so blessed. How can I, like, I feel guilty. Like, there's people in the world that have so much less than me. Like, how can I ask for money when there's people who probably need it more than I do? And then we end up giving everything away because we feel guilty about what we already have. And I think this has been there's been years of shaming women, hasn't there, around wanting money, particularly women that already have money. Like, there's this whole, gosh, she's just a rich bitch, or she's filthy rich. And, it's almost been socially unacceptable for a woman to want money when she already has money. And this can be a
saying, this is so her, I give everything away. This was me as well, living in a beautiful life. How can I charge money when I've got so much? And so people are so unfortunate. Yeah. This is about stepping into your worth.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And huge for all of us.
And then the final one is the conscious receiver. So this is the woman, who very much is just wanting to do good in the world, like wanting to help people. And the thing is that this is probably most of us, because we came into the coaching industry because we wanted to help people, because we probably have been through a transformation ourselves. We have experienced the power of coaching, of transformation, either in our health or our business or our happiness or our life in some way. And we just want to we want everybody else to feel as good as we do on the other side of that transformation. So the idea that, how can I receive money for doing good, or helping people when they're in their place of need, when they're grieving, or when they're in chronic illness, or whether they're in, despair, or their unhappiness, or, how can I ask people for money when they're, I guess, already down and out? That is the conscious receiver, is the one that feels like she's just here to do good.
Yeah. And your conscience is saying, how can you? That, again, I told you I was all of those. That was huge for me when I started Heal Yourself Happy, when I started to work with was that whole piece that I'd been in utter darkness. I was grieving, I'd had loss, I was in ill health. And yet I had transformed myself with the help of many people spending lots of money. I was happy, here we go, right back to the beginning. I was happy to spend it, but I wasn't happy necessarily to receive it when I was now using what I'd learned to help other people. So this is where the block had happened. I was happy to spend it, and then I wasn't happy to receive it. But then it goes right back to what I was saying at the beginning, when I could put myself in my position and say, I was happy to buy, so why wouldn't other people be happy to buy from me and learn from my experience? So I think going through this is so interesting, and it might be worth, as you've gone through these, and maybe come back and listen and just really consciously pinpoint exactly which one you are. It could be a combination of all three, and just being really, really clear, because awareness is always the first step to making a change.
100%. I feel like there's a journal prompt here. I'd love you guys to journal on where do I feel like I'm struggling to receive, and how do I currently feel about receiving? What are the emotions? Is it guilt? Is it shame? Is it, like, really journal on this and dig deep, because some of this is going to be completely like rooted in your subconscious right now, and we need to get it all out on the table in order to get rid of it. It's like you've got to bring it to the surface to clear it out first. And obviously we'll talk to you a little bit more about how we can help you to do that and do that whole clearing process. But the first thing is understanding where your subconscious is right now with this.
Kate says, I worry about not being able to give the value, if that makes sense. And I think that's the first.
That's the undeserving receiver.
Yeah, the undeserving. I'm not good enough. And I think this brings us really nicely onto the next point that we wanted to really talk about, that selling is actually an act of self-love. it is that act of self-worth. I know that what I have to share, because the majority of people who we speak to have been through some kind of transformation, and then they want to share that transformation, whether that be in health, in wealth, in, you know, fitness, and whatever it is, and happiness. They want to come and share their transformation and help other people. That's definitely how I came into it. I know that's how Em came into it. So this is about understanding and being fully appreciative of knowing and understanding everything that you have that you want to be able to help other people with. And that's what I have to share helped me. So I'm worthy of this knowledge. I'm also worthy of sharing that with others and receiving payment for it.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Because I know, like, I invested tens of thousands of pounds in my qualifications. Like, we go back to school, we study, and we have no problem with dropping investment on our qualifications. And yet we don't feel like we're worthy of receiving for that knowledge. All of those hours, Kate, all of your dissertations, your assignments that you're currently doing, like,
your competence. Yeah, you're smashing it.
You're absolutely smashing it. And you're so, the knowledge is so valuable, and you're so worthy of receiving for that.
Yeah.
So Ali's absolutely right. I think selling is, obviously, you know, that what you're going to get here with Ali and I is going to be the strategy and the energetics around this. And selling is a two-part thing. You've got selling as an energetics game, and this whole idea that selling is actually self-love, self-valuing, self-respect, self-worthiness. And when you learn to sell, you actually fall in love with yourself more, because you raise the level of your worthiness to receive. And not only does that translate in your business, it will translate in every area of your life as well, because you become a better receiver and more worthy in yourself. But selling is also a strategic game. It's also a skill that you have to learn. And this is where, like, the whole strategy and the planning piece comes in. So you can come at, and this is where obviously Ali and I bring together both of these things. You learn how to sell as a skill, and you learn the energetics behind it. And that's been the game changer for us in our business, is learning how to sell on both of those planes.
It's the power of the duo. It's that dance of the masculine and feminine. And for those of you, I'm just going to explain energetics, because if I wind myself back, maybe even 2 years ago, I didn't really understand what energetics meant. Energetics is the energy with which you bring to what you're doing. So as we said right at the beginning, Em will give you the plan. She'll tell you the how to, just like she taught me the how to sell, how to grow a business online, the how to's, the what to do's. But it's the energy and the belief that you put into what you're doing that actually magnifies those results. So energetics is the energy, the thoughts and the beliefs. Your energy comes from your thoughts and beliefs about what you're doing. So if your current thoughts and beliefs about selling is, I can't sell, I'm no good at selling, I'm not a salesperson, then even if you came in to sell, you probably wouldn't be able to sell a sausage. Whereas if you come into, I fucking love selling, I can't wait to sell what I've got, I'm so shit hot, I've had such an amazing transformation, oh my God, these are going to sell like hotcakes. Can you see the difference in energetics of what you're going to do? You can walk that same path, but it's what you believe about what you're doing, what you're thinking about what you're doing. The energy, the magnetism that you're bringing into what you're selling is what's going to have the results, or the magnified results. That's what we're talking about here, the power of the two.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go sell sausages.
Okay, so strategically then, the plan. I love to put a bit of structure around these things, because I think structure is important, because that's what allows your energy to flow. So if we're going to put some structure then around this workshop today, and give you something that you can take away that's really memorable for you. Those of you that have been in our world for a while will know that we just love an acronym. We have acronyms coming out of our ears, because it really helps us to remember, and it helps you to remember the steps. So when we talk about structure and strategy, there's always a step by step. So for this particular workshop, our acronym is, of course, SALES. So SALES. And each one of those we're going to talk you through. And this is where you get to pull your pens and your pads out. And we're going to be asking you to do some work here. We promised that we wanted you to come away from today having some clarity and a bit of a plan in terms of where you go next. So this is where you get to do that piece.
Just looking at some of the comments, we've got loads of people just talking about all those different archetypes. I think Kat's talking when she's saying about that's so true. I think about that blend of masculine and feminine and believing in what you're selling. Kate says, I invested in Ali and I didn't think of anything about spending the money. I think that's it. I think we get so hung up on spending and pricing. We'll come to that in a minute. If you desire something, and if you understand and believe in the transformation and the process, it doesn't matter how much it's going to cost. It's an investment. Sausages, says Kate. Yes, let's go sell some sausages, Kate. Kate, tell us how we're going to do this to stay in the game. Come on, let's go for it.
Okay, so the S then it stands for staying in the game. Okay, and this is the first question I asked Ali when she first came to me is, right, we need to get really clear on what you need to tear up plan B, to set fire to it, to flush it down the toilet, whatever you want to do with it. We don't want you to have a plan B.
We don't have a plan B.
We don't have a plan B. Like, when you know that this is what you're supposed to do, you want to tear up plan B. So how are you going to tear up plan B? So when you look, and maybe you don't know what this number is, and this is the first step really, is what is that magic number for you? So when you think about the business expenses that you've got and your business investments that you want to make, and you think about your household expenses and your contributions towards your home and your family, and then you think about any personal expenses that you've got outside of your joint household, what is that number? What is that magic number that is the difference between you staying in the game and being able to build this baseline solid foundation in your business from which we can teach you to grow? But what is that safety number?
And this could be different.
You don't have to go scrolling totaljobs.com next week. What is that number?
Yeah, it may be for some of you who are already in a corporate job looking to take the leap and set up your own business. What is the income number that you would need to match? Or if you're somebody who's actually, just decided that they want to get back, maybe you've had kids and you don't necessarily have an awful lot of contributions that you have to make, but what is it that you would like to contribute? What is it? How much money do you want to bring in to make you feel like you've got a business? What is that number? I'm happy to share what mine is. When I came to M, it was like, I want to make 2K. 2K will cover my expenses. 2K will cover my contributions to the family. 2K is going to make me feel like I'm in fucking business. So let's go hit 2K. So you can either, if you want to share it, you can share it here. If not, write it down on a piece of paper. What is your magic number? What is your stay in the game number?
Yeah, ladies, this is a personal thing as well. So whether you share that number or not, there's no judgment here. This is your personal stay in the game number. And this is where we start from. When Ali came to me and said, I want to make 2K, I was like, fine, cool, let's start there then. Let's start there, and then we just keep going upwards from there. This is what we call your energetic minimum. It's what you're energetically aligned to bringing in as a minimum. And nothing but that will fall below that is acceptable.
I think if we're going to talk about this, there are, the coaching industry at the moment is set to be a $20 billion industry. I think that's about 16 UK pounds if you're in the UK.
16.5. Yeah.
It's a huge number. And there are lots of amazing coaches out there who are smashing the 7 figures a month. And sometimes when you see that can feel inspirational, but it can also feel like, oh my God, that's just so far removed. So what we're trying to do here is just allow it to be possible, allow it to feel like this is attainable. When 7 figures just feels like so far blue sky, there's no point in even starting. Don't even look there. What is it? What is your energetic minimum? What is your stay in the game number? Let's start there. I think it's so important.
Yeah, 100%.
I love it. Lorati, 20K a month. Let's do it.
Yes. And we quantified that and mapped that out yesterday on our session, which is really exciting. Okay, so yeah, write down your number or share it if you feel called to share it, but no pressure to.
Kat is saying 2K, but my inner chimp is saying 1K. Okay, inner chimp, go with the 1K. Just, you've got it. This is a number that you want to feel like you can fully get behind. It's possible.
Yeah, like we are big blue sky thinkers, Ali and I. We are big dreamers. We have big, huge goals. But this is about you also feeling grounded, feeling secure and stable, like you've got that foundation. Because if your foundation is wobbly and you're like wobbling around on your energetic minimum, you're not going to be able to scale to 10K, 20K, 30K. You've got to feel like you're on solid ground to start with.
Yeah. Choose that number, because the big numbers, all they are is your energetic minimum multiplied. And if you can do that, you can do it all. Okay. So get a number that feels firm, doable, realistic. Sounds very boring, but so important.
Yeah.
Got the number?
I always feel like it's almost like we have this, it's almost like a set point that we have, like a thermostat. Do you know what I mean? Like where we're comfortable with a certain number. When it clicks into a certain number, like that's our thermostatic point. And what I've noticed is that this shifts as we go through life and as we grow. Because if you think about, there's probably a time when like the house that you're living in now would have felt completely blue sky, unattainable, big dream, never possible. And actually the house that you lived in, maybe when you were a student or whatever, was your energetic set point. It was acceptable to live in a grotty student house at one point in my life. Would I step foot in that house now? No, I'd be scared of what I might catch. But your energetic set point, it moves up. And this is how we grow our income and feel stable around our income, is that we just shift our energetic thermostat like this. It just goes up and up and up. You know, the car that I received for my 17th birthday, I felt like a queen driving that car. Like, would I want to be driving that car now? No, because it's well below where my energetic set point is. Now I'm like accustomed to something better, I guess. So this is why it's important to understand where your thermostat is right now, and then we're going to show you how you can turn up the heat.
Love it. I would definitely not go anywhere near my old student days. And my first car was a Volvo 240 in brown.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Loved it at the time.
And Ali's photos of her beautiful blue soft top Mercedes are all over our Instagram if you want to check out Ali's energetic set point right now. I've just had a brand new Range Rover Sport delivered in the last couple of weeks. And I say that not through like, that's not a braggy thing. That's a like understanding that you move up in terms of what you're available for. Okay. What's the A for, Ali?
So this is all about then taking that number to really, really believe in it. This is about, the A is all about making it achievable. So how do we break that number down? Can you actually achieve that with what you've got currently on the table? So this is something that I love to do. It's what we've just been doing in our end of month kind of like financial meeting. We were just chatting with our finance directors, aka Ali and Em, and we were going through this whole, okay, this is our energetic set point for next month. This is where we want to get to. This is our bare minimum. This is our stay in the game number. Okay, we need to, and this is so important because as we've said, we love the blue sky thinking, but we can only go from blue sky if we feel grounded. So it was saying, right, what do we actually have that can help us get to our bare minimum? So it's about saying, what do I have on offer? What's on my shelf? What are my products? How much are they priced at? And how many do I need to sell of those in order to get to my bare minimum? So for example, when I came to Em, it was like, right, I want to get to 2K. I've got private coaching, which is I can't remember what it was. It was like £100 a month for my private coaching. And I've got an online program that is £500 a month. Sorry, £500, I think, for the 3 months. How many of those? It's like back of a fag packet. How many of each of those do I need to sell per month in order to get to my 2K? And sometimes during that process, you can realize, right, I'm so far off. I am so far off how much I need to sell. I need to sell hundreds of those in order to get to my 2K. Can I actually do that? So if we were looking at my 100K a month private coaching and I want to get to 200K, do the math. I don't think I had enough hours in the day in order for me to actually do that. So it's a bit of a maths exercise here to really, really write down simple maths. You want to make 200K, 200K, yeah, blue sky, 2K a month. You've got space in your diary. So if you're really looking at your business right now, whether you're full-time, part-time, what is the space that you have in order to run your programs, run your services. And it could be, let's do some simple maths. You've got 4 spaces for 4 private clients and you're charging £150 per month for those clients. So that's £600. £600 does not equate to 2K. So this is what we would like you to do. This is a workshop. Your bare minimum, what space have you got and how much are you charging? And does the maths add up to your bare minimum? Because then you have a choice. When you can see that written down on paper, back of a fag packet, £600 does not equal 200K. So I've either got the choice to open up more space for my private clients and open up a number of private client spots and continue charging £150 a month, or I raise my prices and keep the number of spots.
But you've also got to sell more if you're keeping your prices lower. So again, we come back to the reason why we're here today, which is to sell. Or the other option is that you create more services that are scalable. So not just using one slot a week for one private client, but how could you potentially launch other programs and services that are more scalable, where you get to work with multiple people for that same amount of time through programs and courses and those kind of things. So there's multiple strategic options, but what we really want you to understand is, as much as we love the blue sky thinking, we also need our brains need to be able to quantify that energetic minimum. We need to be able to say, is this even possible for us right now? Because although we don't want to attach to it happening in an exact way, we don't want to say, right, I'm going to sell that number of spots for private coaching, that number for a program, and that number for an online course, because the reality is it won't necessarily happen the way you think it's going to. But your chimp brain, I heard somebody say earlier, needs to feel satisfied that it's even possible, because otherwise you're thinking the gap between your energetic minimum and what your brain is telling you is even possible are mismatched, and that will create a misalignment in your energy when you come to sell it, because you don't actually believe that you can get there. So I think this is really important. And then it's, once you've looked at those options, it's almost like, okay, we need to look at the resistance to all of those options as well, because when it comes to selling, there will be resistance to raising prices. The number of conversations I've had, including with Ali, who said, I can't up my price. I can't, no one's going to pay that much. I can't charge that much. Ali was charging £150 a month for private coaching.
Yeah. And I was terrified. So my resistance was charging my prices. But then also at the same time, it's like, okay, but if I want to keep the same prices, then I've got to find some more time in my day. I don't have any more time in my day. Okay, so the question then is, you either raise your prices, or as Em says, you use the same number of hours you've got to see more people. So then it comes into group coaching or group coaching programs. There are multiple different ways in which you can get to that point, but you've got to work out what are the hurdles you need to get across first. Because you can, again, we go back to that. What are you resisting? Like the archetypes. How are you resisting receiving? When I know how I'm resisting receiving, I can then get to work on breaking that down. The same comes here. What am I resisting in doing so that I can then, break that down? Why am I resisting putting up my prices? Well, I don't feel worthy. Well, is that true? No, it's not true. So then you have to go to work on your worthiness, your self-love. I am good enough. I know I'm good enough, and bringing that in. Is it that I need more time? Do I have more time? How can I create more time? If I'm pissing about on Facebook for 2 hours in the morning, could I really use that time differently? This goes back to the difference of, maybe we talked about socially savvy and being socially media savvy and creating content. Is your content, can you start to change it so that your content isn't just about showing your transformation, but can I use that time wisely to sell? How do I feel about that? How can I do that? So you're working this through all the time. How can I get that? What are my back of my fat packet options to get to 2K? Raise my prices could look this way. Give myself more time could look this way. Do group coaching could look this way. There are multiple permutations of how to get to that number. And then, as Em said, if your brain can get behind it, then you can go ahead and do it.
Mm-hmm. And little clue here in terms of how we do this and how we have raised our energetic minimum is all of the above. there are going to be elements in your business of raising prices. There will be elements of learning how to sell more so that you are fully booked and at capacity. And there'll also be understanding how you can use that same amount of time to scale through scalable services such as programs and online courses that bring in passive income streams as well. And for those of you that are interested in that, we've actually got a program coming up in June called Freedom Coach, which actually is all about that scalability and how you build out a business model for multiple income streams. So keep ears and eyes peeled for that one, because that's coming up as well.
That's about building a well-balanced business so that you have, as I'm just going to pull out a bit more of that, a well-balanced business so that you have revenue coming in consistently, so that you have passive income coming in, and so you have overflow bursts of income coming in. And it's how you build out this incredible matrix, not only for your income, but also how you can actually tap into the clients and their desires and how they wish to work for you. So it's an incredible program. We took all of our ladies on the VIP Diamond Day through it. It's been transformational, not for our business, but also for so many women who came on that day. So that's going to be amazing. If you want to understand how you can do the back of a fag packet in lots of different ways, that is great. I'm just going to touch on a comment here. So Kathy says, I know that feeling, and Ali has already told me ages ago, I don't charge enough. So that's that feeling. It really is true, Kathy. You don't charge enough. The transformation that you help people is incredible and almost priceless. So it's about you understanding that and fully owning that. And that's an energetic thing. So you go back to what I was saying, it's that belief in yourself, the belief in what you can help people doing, and then they'll buy from you. So this is the next exercise for you, whether you're not going to have time to do it now, but based on that energetic minimum that you've declared underneath the S to stay in the game, go round and work out how it could be achievable with pulling some different levers. Go and I love doing this. I do it every month. It's like, how can we do this way? We could sell this many of this, or we could do it this way, and this way. Or actually now it's the summer month, so we're reducing our time available. So we need to either increase our prices or we need to focus on selling more of this. So it's about every month, you're probably going to have to do a bit of shifting and dancing and playing, but that's what makes it fun. Yeah. I feel.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay, ladies. So the L then in the sales acronym is around creating a lean business. Okay. This is really important. Staying in the game is not just about how much you make, it's about how much you get to take. And this is the difference between a business income and a personal income. This is the difference between revenue and profit. And I remember my first ever mentor, I was just out of university and I'd got thrown into this marketing manager position in the company I was working for, because the lady went off sick and they were like, well, you're here, you can do the job. I was like, okay, cool. And they gave me this consultant guy to work with who was incredible. And he's actually a dear friend today. And he taught me everything I know about marketing in the early days. And he always used to say to me, income is vanity, profit is reality, and your cash flow will be your sanity. And this has always stuck with me, because when we think about business and well-balanced business, we are talking and focusing on profit, not income. And there's a really dangerous narrative, I think, out there in the industry at the moment, with a lot of people talking about income and revenue and sales numbers and stuff, which is really aspirational, don't get me wrong, but what are they making in profit? Are they spending 100K to make 100K? Are they spending $1 million to make $1 million? Where is the bottom line? Because you're not in business if you're spending more than you're actually making. And I think we can all safely say that we're all in business to enjoy the personal income as well as the business income as well. So this is where we need to have a look at where in our life, in our personal life and in our business, potentially could we be leaking money and energy? Is there anything that you're currently paying for that really doesn't feel good? When you make that payment every single month, does it not feel good to you to be having to make that payment? And when we come to, if you've ever done any of our money programs with us, we talk a lot about money as an energetic game. And really the encouragement here is you need to stop payments that don't feel good. And if it's actually something that's in your life that is like a necessity, it's something you need to survive, like the fuel in your car, then how can you start to feel good about making that transaction so that your energy is completely squeaky clean around it? So this isn't about scrimping and trying to not spend any money. This is about spending and investing with intention in ways that you feel like you're going to get a really good return and that is going to feel good to you. And I guess like the first places that I would be looking for something like this, if I was cleaning up, is things like, where do I have subscriptions running that I'm not using? Where do I have any memberships that I'm not really taking advantage of? Have I got providers that are maybe costing me more than I could be paying somewhere else? And maybe I agree with the ethics of that other company more than I do the one that I'm with. So this activity that we'd love you to do is to just review your spending and your expenses and clean up your leaks and just really focus on investment over willy-nilly spending.
I think this is a really great, it is about cleaning up. It's about cleaning up to lean up, and going right back to what Em said is, my husband is an accountant. So even when he asked me, when are you going to make some money? What he really meant was, when are you actually going to make some actual proper money that brings home money, that personal income, not just sales income. It is about those profits that's so important and not many talk about. Again, it's about saying, what is that profit energetic minimum that I want to bring home? And if I want that profit to be, then what are my sales going to have to be in order to cover my expenses? And that's the lean business. If you can strip out anything that you're spending that you don't use, subscriptions that you haven't got, stuff that's still running in the background. It's like having a gym membership and never going. Are you using all the things that you're paying for? And if you're not, then get rid of them. Or actually, is it that you've invested in a program and you're not actually doing it? Well, actually get back in and do it. Get the return on investment from it. Otherwise, it was just money that you've just flushed down the toilet. It's about really getting energetically behind it, really feel into it. And I really strongly believe that this is the difference between having a hobby and a business and being a CEO of your business. Now, we are the Limitless CEOs, and we want to help so many women be limitless CEOs effortlessly. And to be honest, the simpler you have your financials, the easier it is. So really, really simplify everything down. And I also wanted to touch on the whole cash flow thing. I loved it when Em said that cash flow is sanity, because who else feels absolutely wildly insane with panic when you don't have any cash? That is where you really want to get to. So go back and just hear what Em always says. Income is vanity, profit is sanity. Sorry, profit is reality, and cash flow is your sanity. It's so important to really, really manage and own all of that. I used to be somebody who used to bury my head in the sand, and this is so important. Make it a part of your business by looking at your expenses every week, looking at them every month, wrapping it all up and celebrating it all. This is so important. Clean up to lean up. And then that's how you're going to stay in the game. Is this landing with everybody? Kat says, so Kate says, sorry, that's what I'm doing. Kat says, this describes me totally at the moment. Which bit describes you totally at the moment? Victoria says, I guess in the early days, you're investing more than you're making. That can be true, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that case. But I think it's about, as long as you hold the belief that you will make that investment back. So I think we've talked about it before. If you look at Socially Savvy, we're talking about shops, and we're creating virtual shops. When you're creating a physical shop, you're investing money up front on the rails, on the bricks and mortar, investing in the people running your business, investing in the products to sell. It's a very different game when you're online. The investment might come in having coaches or learning skills or, your website. You still need to invest in order to have and understand how you're going to grow in business, but it's in the belief that you're doing that as an investment, as a return. I believe that investing this money will help me bring back the cash flow, maybe in another way. I like to think of it as an investment, is often an investment in me and the person that I become, and the person I become will generate that income, because I'm better at selling, because I'm better at showing my brand, because I'm better at taking photographs, because I'm better at this. I'm mastering. And the more I master, the more momentum I gain, the more I grow.
Yeah, this is investing, not spending. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Is you get a return. Okay.
Kat says she's treating my business like a hobby and not being smart with my finances and just leaking profit. Oh, okay. Good realization. That's awareness for you here. As I said before, awareness is the first step to change. And that's what we really wanted to help you all with today, is that awareness of where you're leaking, is awareness of that number, because you might not even know about it. Your energetic minimum. How much do you need to stay in the game? The awareness of actually, is it possible? And now the awareness of actually, don't keep leaking your profits. Just because you think taking another course is going to help you might not be the right thing. What is really going to help you get to sell? Because ultimately the two things that you need to know in business is, one, you need to do the work in coaching. And the second thing is you need to sell to get more people to coach or train or whatever it is you do. Those are the two most important things: looking after your clients and selling to more clients. That is business.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the E in the sales acronym then is the energy of sales. Obviously, we've talked a lot throughout all of this about the importance of the energy of sales, because it is something that is like this golden thread that weaves through everything else. Like your energy that you get behind your sales and your strategy for selling is really important. Ali, this is your bag, so I'm going to let you speak on this. I know we have touched on it in ways, but I know there's probably some specifics that you'd really like to speak to.
Yeah, I think selling is an energetic game, and I've already said that. You cannot come on and sell something that you don't believe in. You might be able to come in and tell people about it, but they will know on some kind of level, energetic level, they'll hear it in your voice, they'll feel it. And we've had that when we've come in to sell things and we haven't been energetically behind for whatever reason. And also, it might not necessarily be that we do or don't believe in it, but there might be something else that's energetically draining us outside. So it's about, how do I hold this energy when I come in here, really cleanse it, really believe it, and come in and be that powerful woman to sell what it is that I have to sell, and people will buy because they will feel it and they'll want it and they'll desire it. And it's all to do with that relationship of that energy. So that was one thing. It is an energetic, strategically energetic game. The second thing that I would love to say is around pricing. So what is the number one thing that people come and ask us about is, how do I price this? Always. And I said to Em, how do I price this? And there's a strategic way to price it, but you've got to be energetically behind that number when you come in to sell for it. Because if it's too much, if somebody says, yeah, that's great, now double it, you're not going to want to come in because you'll be like, oh my God, I can't sell that. I don't believe I'm worthy of it. And you won't be able to. You either won't be able to because you don't want to and you can't say it and you'll mumble the words, or you just won't sell because you don't believe in it. If it's too little, if you're selling yourself too short, then you're going to be resentful and that energy will come across and you won't want to. It'll be flippant and you'll be like, well, I don't want anyone to buy because it's not worth me getting out of bed. What did Naomi Campbell used to say? I don't get out of bed for less than $1 million. That is the aspirational point, right, ladies? I'm not getting out of bed for $1 million. But I remember doing this transitional point. I remember doing this transitional point when I was charging only £50 per month. Can you believe this is another point. Whatever you charge now, at some point in the future, you won't believe that you actually charge so little. And at that point, I never believed, when I was charging £50 a month, did I ever believe that we'd be selling private coaching for £2,500 per month? Never in my wildest dreams did I think we would get there, but we are. And people pay it. So there's a point that your pricing is always going to move, but you've got to be energetically behind it. And if it's too low, you won't do it. So my story here is, when I was charging £50 a month, I was getting up early at 7 o'clock to see people before they went to work, and I was seeing people at 8 o'clock at night. And it got to a point where it meant I was missing out on my kids, missing out on my family. I was tired and I was exhausted. And I was like, is it worth me getting out and doing this for £25? And it was like, no, it's not. So it was an energetic feeling. It's not worth me doing this now. £25 versus sitting with my kids in a cuddle. I'd rather pay myself 25 quid to sit and have a cuddle with my kids. So you've got to be really energetically behind it. Otherwise you'll resent that number and you can't do it.
The thing is as well, like if we look at this in everyday life, there is a market at every single price point in all different industries. Like take handbags, for instance. You could pay tens of thousands. I think, in fact, I think there's even a handbag on the market for hundreds of thousands of pounds.
A Hermes
designer. There's a Hermes one. There's also a Japanese designer whose name I always forget. Or I could also buy a Tesco's bag for life for 20p, or maybe they've gone up to 50p in Waitrose, I think.
Does the job.
Does the job. So the question is, like, and there's everything in between as well. Like, you could buy a handbag at every level, and there is a market and people buying at every single level. There's a market for Chanel. There's a market for the bag for life. And I guess your question to yourself is, do I value my services, not myself, but do I value my services as a bag for life? Or am I more of a Chanel kind of girl? I think we're more of a Chanel kind of girl, but you see what I'm saying? I think it's important to recognize that whatever price you choose, there will be feels good for you, there is a market and there are people that will buy at that price.
And I also think there's a tipping point as well for the person who's buying. So the really obvious example for this is like a bottle of water. If you're stood next to a tap that gives you drinking water and somebody offers you a bottle of water for £1, you'll be like, no thanks, I'm just going to take some out of the tap. If you are at a concert somewhere and the bottles of water are £5, but you can't be bothered to go and stand in the queue, you're going to pay the £5 because you want a bottle of water. Yeah. Versus if you're in the middle of a desert and there's no fucking water, you would pay the earth to have a sip of
You'd give your last penny because it would be a
penny. You sell everything in order to get that water to stay alive. And I think that can happen with coaching as well. And I know, and I feel that way. If the desire is strong enough in the person who's buying to be there, to get there, and they want to go with you, then they will pay whatever it is to get there. The other thing I really want to touch on, really, and we could go so deep in so many of those things, which we will do in Fully Booked next week, but this point of, I would really love for you to understand when it comes in terms of pricing your products, how many of you actually make the decision to buy based on the price? When you're coming to work with a coach, when you're going to work with a personal trainer, when you're going to go and find somebody to give you a massage, whatever it is that you're doing in terms of service, it's very rarely the price that actually is the clincher as to whether you're going to buy. And I was having this conversation with a private client the other day. I was like, how did you make the decision to come in to work with us? And she said, well, it was like your energy was a fit. I liked you as people. I liked what you were talking about. I resonated with you. I love the way that you work, regular touch points. I get access to all of these things. I love your way of working. I love your energy. I really like you. I want to spend time with you. It wouldn't have mattered how much, or there would have been a range clearly, but it wasn't the factor. People don't come and go, yes, I'm going to spend that money on you. It's a lot of factors. Together, not just the price. So we hang so much on the price when it's very rarely the real decision why people buy.
100%.
Yeah. So there's so much to go around energetics, and we're going to go, there's a whole module in Fully Booked, and I know we haven't even talked about Fully Booked yet, but there's a whole module on how you can energetically sell and use the energetic strategies to sell. So I would love to ask you this question in terms of your activity for the E part of this is, I would love for you to go in and have a look at everything that you've put down in your book that you've got on your shelves currently to sell, and how much are you charging for it? Does that feel good or not so good? Do you feel resentful? Does it feel too much? How do you feel about the price at which you're selling something? And then I'd also like you to ask yourself, when was the last time you sold it? When was the last time you came online and shared it, sold it, did a live about it, put a post about it? Was it today, this morning, yesterday, last week, a year ago? The thing is, we get so muddled with online and offline sales, or, physical shopping, tangible things. What we have to sell is really intangible. And if you did Socially Savvy with us, if you understand the social media landscape, you've got to keep putting your things on the shelf. Because that one post that you put out last week is gone. There's a million posts above it in everybody's feed. So it might feel like you're constantly selling, but you're really not. It might feel to you you're selling, but for the people on the other side, they're only getting glimpses. So you've got to keep coming in. So ask yourself, am I fully in alignment with the price at which I'm selling, and how often am I selling, and why am I not selling anymore?
And not only the last time that you sold it, but also like how often are you selling it as well? Because Ali's already alluded to the fact that actually an online business is no different to having a physical bricks and mortar business. You've got to open up shop. If you had a shop on the high street and you were only opening up to sell once a month or you know, once every couple of months, your sales would be really inconsistent because nobody can come in and buy. And it's exactly the same. We have to create a virtual shop in our business. And obviously we talked a lot about that in Socially Savvy, so I'm not going to go into the details of that now because I'm conscious of time, but what have you got to sell? How often are you going to sell it?
The last piece of the puzzle then, Em, the strategy. Let's go into the strategy. Gosh, this is taking longer than we thought, isn't it? It's such a meaty topic.
Thank you all for still being here. I hope you're still with us. We've got so much we want to talk about on this, which is why we've got something that we're going to talk to you about at the end, because we can't fit it all in. But I want to just introduce you to the strategic part of selling today, because selling is a skill, and like many other skills, you need to practice. You know, it's a bit like learning yoga. I don't know if any of you have ever started yoga or remember when you did start yoga. And you'd go into Sweaty Betty and you've got all your amazing gear on, and you feel the part, and you've watched other people do it, and they just look so tranquil and graceful when they
make
do
it look easy. They make it look so
make it look so easy, and you're ready to be one of those like free spirits, and you want to make it look easy for you. You want it to feel good, and yet you get into that class, and the first couple of times it feels so unnatural. You're like, my body does not move in that way. It feels uncomfortable. And like, I remember having like moments of panic. I think it was in the camel position, the one where you bend backwards. And I was like, shit, I'm stuck. I actually can't get out. What am I going to do? Like roll sideways and face plant just to get out of this? But my point is that you're then worried about what everyone else is thinking around you and what they're doing. And the exact same thing happens with sales, because if we come into it and we just want to be a master of sales and we just want to be good at it before we've become the student of sales, but before we've practiced, we're going to end up stuck or flat on our face, as we do in the yoga class. And as in yoga, there are poses and practices. In sales, there are also steps and strategies that we have to learn. And I want to share two of those with you today. And introduce you. The first one is a formula that we've created called the ABC launch strategy. It's called the ABC launch strategy, but there are actually A, B, C, D, E, F. But ABC launch strategy sounded better than the A, B, C, D, E, F.
And it's as easy as ABC, right?
And it's as bloody easy as ABC. Yeah, exactly. So the first part of this is in the launch strategy, and this is how we launch. Okay, selling, launching, all tied up in the same container. And the first part is the A, which is creating anticipation for your products and your services. This is where you activate the energy and you start to create hype and desire and anticipation of what's coming next. Okay, that's the first step in our launch process. Then we do what's called the brand drop. And this is really important because this is our process for making a service tangible. Because we're not selling actual physical products, there's an intangibility to what we do as coaches. So we need to make it tangible by packaging it up. And then we do that by creating a name, we create visuals, and we create a description and a message around that thing. So it almost creates its own package that we can then put on the shelf and sell. So the B is all about the brand drop, the packaging. The C is context setting. So what's the why around this particular service? Like, why does it matter to the person that's going to buy? And why should they even care about this? What is the desire for this particular product or service? And most importantly, what's the transformation that they're going to receive, the outcome, like the end goal? Okay, this is about creating the context for it. So that's the ABC. And then the D is details. This is where you share the actual kind of practical elements of it. So what's included? What's the investment? How does it actually work? What content and what are the learning points that you're going to take me through in this particular offer? So that's all about the details. And then the next step in the process is what we call embodiment. This is the E, it's embodiment. And this is where we then show up on social media and we show how we are living what we teach. This is walking your talk and creating the social proof around how bloody great your service and product is, because you're living it yourself. You are a living proof of your service. And then the final piece is the F, which is for the finish line. And this is around how you hold your energy and your trust and your belief and keep taking the actions through to the end. And I see this so much with women when they're launching. It's like they do the ABC, maybe even the D, and they do it once, and then no one's buying. Oh my God, now I look silly. What if one person buys? Oh my God, what if only 2 people buy? And then they quit, they stop. And this is the saddest thing, is they've created this incredible program or service. They've created the branding, they've created the anticipation for it. They've worked out all the details, and then halfway through the launch process, they just stop because the fear kicks in. So the finish line piece is all around holding the energy. And obviously that's Ali's magic in terms of what she can help you with. So that's the first strategy that I wanted to share with you today, is the ABC launch strategy. And we will be sharing all the details on how we actually do that inside of the Fully Booked program, which we're going to talk to you about in a second. But the other piece that I wanted to talk to you about is a strategy that we call activation energy. This is where my geek comes out, because I'm a bit of a scientist at heart. And when in chemistry, then the activation energy in chemistry is the minimum amount of energy that is needed to create a condition for transformation. And in business, we have this. In business, it's about how you activate the energy that's needed to trigger a need or a desire response for what you have.
How do you create a reaction?
How do you create the reaction? So have you ever had an experience where you actually didn't realize that you wanted or needed something until you tried it, and then you really, really wanted it? I don't know, maybe you went to someone else's house and they've had a new kitchen put in and you're like, oh my God, I love this kitchen. And then you come back to your kitchen and you're like, meh, now I want a new kitchen. But we have these energetic set points that we talked about, the cars, the homes, all of the things that maybe at one point in our lives we didn't even realize we wanted, and then we experienced it. We were activated, our desire was activated, and these change. Okay, so your activation energy is allowing your buyer to experience that's something better that they didn't even know, or they didn't know they needed or desired. This is the activation piece. And this is part of, we actually build this into the ABC launch process in a variety of different ways. So my question, I guess, really at this stage, if we're thinking about the next part of your notebook, is what is your process right now for launching? Do you have your own ABC, DEF process in place, or are you just trusting that people are going to find you and come to you? Maybe you're sitting a little bit too much in your feminine energy of being, but not doing the strategy piece, the launch steps, the action. So that's a really good reflection, I think.
Or it could be that you're doing too much. You could be doing the other way and you're feeling really burnt out. And that could quite possibly be because you're doing all the things, you're doing the checkbox exercises, but you're missing this energy piece, the belief piece, the holding the line, the ultimate, yes, I can do this. Yes, I believe in what I'm doing. So there's two sides. Have a really good think about how are you bringing your products and services online so that people have the opportunity to buy. Go right back to the beginning. What we said, there is a whole audience out there of women or men, depending on who you want to speak to, but there are a whole load of people who are there going, oh my God, I'm so excited to go shopping today. What am I possibly going to buy? I'm going to go into the supermarket and I don't know what I'm going to buy. I'm just going to see what takes my fancy. There are people coming in online with the same attitude. I'm ready to buy. I'm looking for my next coach. I'm looking for my next personal trainer. I'm looking for my next healer. I'm looking for my next nutritionist. Who am I going to buy from? And it could quite easily be you, but you've got to be there, showing them who you are, bringing things to the table, trusting and believing, because if you believe in your products, then people on the other side are going to believe in you too. And I think that is so important for you to understand the both. You need the two.
Yeah, Ali alluded to it earlier. This is a $20 billion, 16.5 billion pound industry, and it's growing really, really fast. And people are investing in online education, in coaches, in mentors, in services. And we just want to make sure they're investing in you. Yeah. And you want to make sure they're investing in you, because there is such massive opportunity out there right now. I wrote an email about this yesterday, and many of you have seen that Elon Musk actually invested something like $44 billion in buying Twitter. And this actually is really reassuring for me, because when Elon Musk invests, it's because he's got a vision and he knows where the future's going. And if he's investing in social media platforms and online media and marketing, then we know we're in the right industry right now. So we just need to maximize how we're getting our piece of the pie.
Yeah. And I suppose that goes out to all of you. If you want a piece of that pie, you've got to put stuff out there for people to buy and sell, because that's what's going to build up to that 16.5 billion. And it might be that you don't want the millions or the tens of thousands a month. You just want that bare minimum that you wrote down, that 2K, like I wrote down. And that's okay, but go and get it. And you're only going to get it if you learn how to master the art of selling. Yeah. And giving opportunities for people to buy from you. I'm loving it. Kate goes, Ali's bar stools. So that's basically when, coming to your point, where she saw some beautiful bar stools down in our coach house, and she was like, well, I want those. I'm not going to go back to my other one. So it's about showing people what they're missing out on. They're missing out on health. They're missing out on vibrancy. They're missing out on creating businesses. They're missing out on living a life that they truly love. So with all of that in mind, I want to come in and just share with you something that we have on offer at the moment. And it's just so incredibly exciting. It's taking everything that we've talked about today to that next level, to go deeper, so that we can really help you implement the strategy that Em's just talked about, so that you can understand and feel what it feels like to be in the energy of something that you love to do. We're going to take you through the energy of the sales process, the energy of pricing. We're going to talk to you about getting through all of your fears. We're going to unravel every single one of those archetypes. So this, we've alluded to it, is a program called Fully Booked. We are going to be recording it live next week on Thursday. I think it's the 5th of May. Thursday, the 5th of May, we are going to be recording 4 live modules. You can jump in and join us live. You can watch them anytime after that, because if you're in this program, you've got all of those modules for life. So even if you can't join us for all of them, that doesn't matter. You're going to have them. We're just going to be recording them on that specific day. And this program is really for anybody who's just gone through today and just gone, oh my God, I've got some massive gaps. A bit like how I came to work with them. It's like, oh my God, that is just so glaringly obvious. I need to sell something and I don't know how to do it, and I need to master the art, because I'd come from a corporate world. I never had to sell anything. I just got paid for doing my job. Yeah. And it's a real transition shift, that learning how to sell something. Yeah.
Energetically and strategically, because we come at it from both angles. And I hope you've got a flavor for that today, that there is a strategy and a plan, which I'll teach you. So I will teach you the exact steps of the ABC launch strategy, so that you can always confidently sell and launch your products and services. We'll also teach you how you can create the activation energy as well in your business. And then Ali's going to come in with all of her incredible energetic work and make sure that you feel really confident in taking every single one of those steps right through to the finish line, and make sure that you are getting paid
for something that you love
in the game. Yeah.
I think just touching on that, it's for anyone who does want to make some money to stay in the game. This is the answer. If you want to stay in the game of doing what you love, you've got to learn how to sell, and Fully Booked is the program where we're going to teach you how to do that. It's also for the woman who wants to be independent. That was huge for me when I came to speak to Em. I wanted to be independently wealthy so that I could stay with my husband because I wanted to, not because I needed to. It was so that I didn't have to rely on anybody else to help me fund my life. I didn't want to ask for money to go shopping, to do whatever I wanted to do. I wanted it to be because I was the person that I was relying on. So if you feel in any way that in that way, and you want to stay in the game and you want to be independent, then Fully Booked is for you, because ultimately when you've been through these modules, when you implement what we're teaching you in the way that I did when Em taught me, you are going to feel incredible. You're going to find a way of selling your products and services that you love, because while Em gives you a framework, we also help you tailor it so it works for you. It's really important. We're going to help you release all of that resistance that you've got in you to selling, to pricing, to talking online about
whatever archetype you are.
Whatever archetype you are.
Yeah.
We're going to help you like shift that shit, because I'm really, really good at shifting the shit because I've had to do it so much for myself. You're going to, through the process that Emma's going to teach you, you're going to have that audience that's waiting and willing to buy from you. Me and my best friend are there going, yay, we can't wait to buy, we're going to go shopping. We're going to show you that that is absolutely possible. You're going to have that plan. You're going to feel so confident. You're going to be walking this path so fully free to be able to do it and excited about doing it. And you're going to be so confident in your pricing that you're going to show up and speak. No matter how much you're charging, you're going to be so fully aligned behind it that you can speak slowly and confidently. So in terms of your investment, when we're talking about pricing, we believe that this is a complete no-brainer. If anybody wants to stay in the game, you are going to be able to make your return on investment so goddamn quickly. So it is £444 to join us for those 4 modules and have lifetime access and peer group support for a couple of weeks to answer all your questions with a live Q&A. £444, that's all. And for anybody who is a hell yes right now, today, Friday, the 29th of April, it's £333 using the coupon. I'm going to have to try and remember what it is. Fully Booked Friday. I'm going to drop a link in here. And if you use the coupon Fully Booked Friday, you'll get it for £333. Now that coupon runs out at midnight tonight. So for you fast movers out there, for those of you who've got a sacral hell yes, I'm in, go. Because it's £333 until midnight tonight, and then it will just be £444. It's next Thursday, live energy, but lifetime access.
Yeah, we're also going to be, as a bonus, doing a coaching clinic the week after. So you'll get all of the modules. Either you can watch them live or you can watch them on replay in your own time if you're tied up next Thursday. And then we're opening up a coaching clinic where you can come and speak to us and have one-to-one interaction with both Ali and I, and we can help you to integrate what you're learning, ask your questions, get support, and really move through any of the challenges that you're having to do with your sales. You will also then receive lifetime access to all of those trainings, so that anytime you feel like you're having a wobble around your sales, you just go back and you take yourself back through it again, time and time again. So it really is an incredible program. We're really, really excited about it. Like, this has been the game changer, I think, for us in our business. Like, this is what has probably been the single most potent thing we have learned to do to elevate the level of income in our business. And the thing is, like, once you have that skill, you'll always know how to sell and how to make money, and nobody can ever take that away from you. So it's really, really valuable.
So this is when Em said to me, what's your energetic minimum? And I said 2K. She got me to 2K pretty much within the next month by doing these strategies. Yeah. We then, within 6 months, I was on 10K months. And then after that, it just kept going up to 10K to 20K and 30K. And that just felt so incredibly powerful. So this is the skill that I learned and mastered over that period of time. It's the skill that we have learned and mastered to take us to a 6-figure business, a 6-figure brand in 6 months. So it's incredibly powerful. We're collapsing time around it or accelerating time on how to do it. And now we want to share that with you and how you can do that. I'm just jumping on to see some comments because I've popped the link here in the group so you can jump on in. I've also put the code in. Victoria says, I'm away from next Thursday for a week. Amazing, because do you know what? You can watch it on your sun lounger or wherever you're going. You can plug it into your ears. You can take this fully on board and then you can implement it when you come back. So we are recording it in live energy, but don't feel you have to come in and join us live. We love people joining us live, but you don't have to be. It's a lifetime access program that you can jump in and get and join us anytime. There was something else I was just going to say as well. What was that? Something else that somebody just said. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So for those, all of our private clients, you're in already. You'll have a link coming into your email inbox. Anybody who's currently in the Well Balanced Business Program, you've got this already. It will take place instead of the Q&A session next Thursday. Anybody who is in the inner circle, our mastermind, you get this too. So you don't need to ask those questions. I think that might be, if you have any questions, please do just jump into our inboxes or leave a question below, tag us, ask us. We're here to answer those questions. I'm just so excited. I'm so excited for you.
Thank you so much for letting us run over today. We had so much we wanted to say, but if you have loved this session, we are bringing this on like an amplified scale in Fully Booked. So it will be 4 times the energy, 4 times the strategy. In fact, it'll probably be like 10 times the energy and the strategy, because that's what we do. But we really hope that you have taken some real value away from today. I've loved being here and talking about this. As you can probably tell, we could talk about it forever.
So from one transformation from people who hated to sell, didn't know how to sell, I think we just sold to you all for like 90 minutes and loved every second of it. And we want to get you there.
Exactly.
Have a wonderful weekend.
Have a wonderful bank holiday weekend if you're here in the UK. We'll see you soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye.